Let's get into this. Today, we're doing a deep dive into Christopher Lee's life, drawing from his book, The Manchester Maze. We've got sources covering, well, quite a journey. Starts on an Oldham Council estate in the 80s, difficult upbringing, bullying, substance use.
Yeah, run-ins with the law too, periods of escape, self-discovery attempts, then later some serious health issues, emotional challenges.
And it all kind of culminates in this really pivotal diagnosis and, interestingly, a move into entrepreneurship.
Exactly. And our goal here isn't just to list things that happen, it's more about, digging into the resilience shown. How does someone navigate such intense adversity?
Right, and that search for identity, for purpose, that runs through it all. What do these specific experiences tell us about facing challenges, maybe systemic ones too, and finding understanding later on?
Precisely. The sources really set the scene from the Limeside estate in the 80s. It was meant to be this urban renewal project.
But it sounds like it quickly became quite isolated, marked by poverty, especially as older communities got pulled down.
Yeah, and the book mentions Christopher feeling different right from nursery. Highly sensitive sounds, smells, emotions, like he says, a puzzle piece that didn't fit.
That's striking, isn't it? How those early feelings are framed not just as childhood things, but as, well, foundational, foreshadowing later struggles.
Definitely. Primary school brings the bullying, which is intense, but also that really sad experience with his friend who had cancer.
Yeah. That must have been incredibly difficult. Early lessons in life's fragility, maybe, and seeing resilience even though his friend sadly passed away.
Right. And the environment itself. I mean, the sources mention finding a body shot in a garden on the estate.
Wow. That's incredibly stark. Not distant violence, but right there. The sound of sirens being the norm. I say this kind of toughness was almost demanded.
A sort of grim outlook taking root very early on, perhaps. And the sources place this in context, too. The poll tax protests, late 80s.
Right. That wasn't just news headlines for families there. It was direct impact. Exposure to that kind of societal tension young.
And then secondary school, mid-90s, adds another layer. The town changing, ethnic tensions alongside the economic hardship, divisions even in the classroom.
So against that backdrop, the personal struggles really deepened. We read about the glue sniffing, explicitly mentioned as a way to numb the pain of the bullying, of not fitting in.
And the brushes with crime, you mentioned the nail varnish thing, hiding that cannabis brick after a police chase.
Yeah, not just random acts, but tied to the environment, maybe even finding a warped sense of belonging on the fringes.
And more trauma, too. Witnessing his aunt's decline from cancer, the suspicion of medical error adding to it all.
It's a lot. By 15, facing serious legal trouble, drug debts.
Yeah.
The narrative shifts. He escapes, goes south to Kent.
Yeah, working on fruit farms. Physically tough work, but the sources suggest it was different. A kind of release, maybe. Community with other workers, a real contrast.
But the city pulls him back.
Yeah.
Manchester, the 90s rave scene. Exciting, but also
feeding into the addiction struggles, yeah. Then back to Kent, Broadstairs this time. That's where the Spartan costume pub brawl story comes from.
Right. Bizarre. Seems maybe reckless, but perhaps still tied to that search for something. Identity, belonging.
Could be. But the consequences kept mounting. The big one seems to be the arrest at Victoria Station in London. Ecstasy pills.
Okay, so that was a major turning point. Confronting the law properly.
Seems like it. A suspended sentence gave him a chance, though. Got him into rehab, started the long process of trying to rebuild.
You'd hope that would be the start of things getting easier, but the challenges just shifted, didn't they? Chronic pain in his 30s.
Yeah, debilitating. Started with a back injury, then a shoulder injury on top, constant pain, medication dependence, and then those awful battles with the benefits system.
God, that sounds exhausting. Denials, tribunals, having to lie on a train floor just to get to surgery in Manchester. It really highlights those systemic barriers.
Absolutely. He tried escaping again, went to Spain, but then the pandemic hit. Stranded, living nomadically.
Wow. And it was there, of all places. A conversation with a friend.
Yeah, a friend described almost like a therapist. Suggested the possibility of autism and ADHD. After all those years, no one else had spotted it.
That must have been huge. It prompted him to really look into it back in the UK.
But then he hit the NHS waiting lists. So long. The sources say he had to find the money for a private assessment despite having none.
That's tough. But the diagnosis itself.
Yeah.
Even delayed and costly.
Yeah.
It provided a framework, right?
And a massive one. Suddenly feeling different, the sensory issues, social difficulties, impulsivity, the struggles with systems. It wasn't just him failing. There was a reason. Context.
The feeling of being the puzzle piece that didn't fit. Finally understanding why.
Exactly. The sources say it brought relief, but also, a kind of grief for the life lived without that understanding.
I can imagine. And despite the ongoing pain and that benefit settlement being so disappointing, £1,500 for him, millions for lawyers.
Yeah.
He uses this new self-knowledge.
Yeah, he channels it. Becomes an entrepreneur upcycling discarded objects. Literally making something valuable from trash. Building a life on his own terms, finally.
So, for you listening, this journey really shows how personal context, things like undiagnosed neurodiversity, can completely shape a life. And how resilience looks different for everyone.
Yeah. Christopher's story, it moves from that external maze of the estate, the internal struggles, to finding an inner map through self-understanding, even with chronic pain and those systemic hurdles.
It leaves you with a thought, doesn't it?
Definitely. Consider this. How much do our earliest environments, those experiences outside the usual systems like school or healthcare, truly shape who we think we are and our ability to change later, especially when vital parts of our own story are hidden, even from ourselves?